It was the summer of 1913, and an old man with a faded gray uniform and a slouch hat is out here on this field in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and he's doing his dead level best to charge across an open portion of field where Pickett's charge once happened. 50 summers earlier, this old man was a captain in the Confederate Army, and he actually came across this field right behind Lewis Armistead. Today, we're out here at the site of Pickett's charge in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, near the site where Lewis Armistead would lose his life due to a wound that he received here. And we're going to tell you a story about an officer that was charged with being in his staff here at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Welcome back to History with Waffles. Going across these fields out here, on any given day, you encounter all kinds of stuff, from wind to heat to rain, lightning storms that all of a sudden just roll in from the mountains and light up the sky beautifully. But what the men encountered out here that were with the Confederate Army was a massive Union Army behind a well-defended position and a sheet of lead as they came across this field. The 38th Virginia had a captain in it, and that captain had been reassigned to Lewis Armistead's staff just in time for him to come out here and be a part of that charge, that fateful charge that would end up taking lives and costing the Confederacy some of its greatest leaders. It happened all right here. Now, across that field right there directly in front of me, Captain Benjamin Hawthorne would be in the second line coming across that field for Virginia, right behind Lewis Armistead. And he starts to make his way across this field just like all the rest of the soldiers do. And he gets close to right here where the wall is. And if you look off in the distance over there, you can see the monument right there to Lewis Armistead, where Lewis Armistead went down, or supposedly where he was shot in combat, and he ended up being wounded and then taken back to a field hospital. Well, no such thing happened for Captain Benjamin Hawthorne. Captain Hawthorne actually made it out here, somewhere in this field, and as he was coming up towards the stone wall, he ends up being shot in the arm. Well, that .58 caliber bullet spins him around, taking him to the ground and knocking the senses out of him. As a result, you can justifiably understand Captain Hawthorne didn't have a whole lot of fight left in him. So he picks himself up off the ground, and somehow Captain Hawthorne makes it back across this field, directly on the other side, and back to the Confederate units over there after Pickett's charge. Now, Hawthorne students remember him as being a man with a long, pointy beard. He wore a gray hat, wore a pair of gloves. He was a very expressive type of person, someone they all got along with and they liked learning from. But he also had these dead eyes that they were talking about. They were almost emotionless and dreamy, is the way one man wrote about him, saying that it was almost as if he was peering into the future. Hawthorne was a very intelligent man, very well educated, and was a fervent believer in being a part of the Confederacy, regardless of his education. That was the way a lot of those men were. And he came back out here again and again so that he could relive some of his past, I guess, and be with his comrades and even talk a little smack to the Union soldiers that were out here that fought against him all those years ago. It's a pretty interesting man, a pretty interesting story here at Pickett's Charge in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I hope the rain's not clogging up the lens too much. It's raining out here, drizzling at least, heavy drizzle. So Lowell Armistead comes across this low stone wall here. He has his hat pinned to the end of his sword, and that crazy charge that they can see from across the field where the Confederates come up and over the wall here near the angle, and they make their way into the Union lines only to be decimated, smashed to pieces. And the Confederate soldiers that are wounded here that can make their way back start to crawl back across this field. And of course, you know the rest of the story. Pickett, where's your division? General Lee, I have no division. They are there on the field. And then after, obviously in Gettysburg, there's lots of stories and things like that. Well, Hawthorne's out here in 1913 for a reunion, and he was known for hollering the rebel yell at the Union soldiers for the GAR. Now, he didn't hold or harbor any resentment against these soldiers because they were fighting men just like himself. And as a matter of fact, he would go on to represent the GAR in cases. He also became a professor of psychology in Oregon, at Oregon University. So he had himself quite the career and quite the life afterwards. He would end up passing away many years later, though, and outlive some of his children and even his wife, which is a pretty amazing story considering what all the man went through. After the Battle of Gettysburg, he returns to the 38th Virginia, and of course the 38th Virginia surrenders at Appomattox. Benjamin Hawthorne is there with the 38th Virginia in Appomattox to surrender, and that was the end of the Civil War story for him, eventually making his way out to Oregon. It's a pretty amazing story. We have such a busy schedule out here at Gettysburg this time around for the festival that I thought I would put in a small couple of videos here or there, so that way we can highlight a soldier or two and have something ready for this weekend. Because quite frankly, there's not a lot of time for editing while you're out here at Gettysburg for the film festival. So we're going to push off from here now, and we're going to head over and do some interviews. We have Tom McMillan coming up. We also have Kenneth Gavin, who is a interpreter and a living historian who's in charge of the Revolutionary War camps that are out here. And we have a few other things in store out here in Gettysburg to tell the story of the perspective of those people who tell the story of not just Gettysburg, but other types of history. And we're going to cover the film festival as well. We hope you enjoy our video here about the captain who charged across the field with Armistead and became a professor and ended up representing the GAR. It's a pretty amazing place. There's a lot of stories out there like it in the American Civil War, if you search for them. Until next time, this is History with Waffles.